Hello, hello, it's Rosie Glow. How you doing? Rosanna here from my current 5D headquarters. I hope you're well. Sorry, I've been a little bit quiet because I have been recalibrating, and it really gave me a reminder of the need to make videos like this to actually support those of you who've already done deeper work, to remember what you need to do to get back to your centre. And for those of you who haven't done any deeper inner work and are wondering what's going on planet Earth right now, understanding what this 5D shift actually is and why it seems for people the worse it gets, the worse it gets, and for others the better it gets, the better it gets. So we have spirals of doom and spirals of joy. And basically there is a timeline split going on. So here I am attempting to make the woo-woo palatable, tangible, and to bring in woo-woo and Christ consciousness, or bridging the gap with Jesus, if you like. But bear with me, hopefully it'll be entertaining if nothing else. Okay, so there are many folk, especially folk that have done work on themselves and will tell me, I've done a lot of work on myself, Rosie, who are feeling incredibly overwhelmed at the moment and also ineffective and flat, okay? And it is important to recognise when this is happening that there is a need to tune in and to look at what is going on. So I talk about intention, alignment and action. So if something feels out of alignment, it's important to go back to intention. And this is all the basis of my coaching work, is really seeking to simplify things right down so that instead of feeling overwhelmed all the time, you know when you're feeling out of centre, you're feeling off kilter, what you can do in the fastest possible way to bring you back to centre. And very often we are doers, and so we overwhelm ourselves with endless tasks. Hello, Hope, and thank you for the new photo. Yes, it's great, isn't it? He's rather cool. Yeah, basically you've just thrown me off track now. The main thing with this is that we are needing to remember that there are a lot of energy shifts going on this planet. So on a level of photons, you could say there is an increase of solar flares, there is an increase of light hitting the planet. And that means that for those of us who are in a denser mindset, denser physical body, denser emotional state, what that means in simple terms is we haven't looked at the stuff that is difficult for us to deal with. We prefer to sweep it under the carpet. We prefer to numb out. We don't look inwards. We're just in a state of looking at the world and wondering why it's all going on the way it is. Often we blame and often we project. So we either turn inwards or we turn outwards. And what is happening as more and more light is hitting the planet is if you haven't cleared your density, you're being pushed, you're being purged to clear your density. And this is starting off, hello Caroline, in the emotional and mental realm, so in the thoughts and the feelings that become more and more uncomfortable. And if you're not dealing with that there and seeking support to clear that up and to bring light and love to it and peace and forgiveness and all the good things that help us let go and forgive and move on, which is all Christ consciousness if you think of it in terms of turning the other cheek and forgiving those for not knowing what they do and all that kind of thing. That is going to be happening whether you like it or not. And if you're not dealing with it, what's going to happen then is it's going to affect you on a physical level. So physically, I've just been going through recalibration since the 11-11-11 portal. And that's why I haven't been making a lot of videos, because actually I had this huge high and this massive feeling of graduation from what I feel like I've been working on all of my adult life, like a good 20 years since before my daughter was conceived, to now thinking, okay, I've arrived in this whole new experience of my physical reality. Is this what I want to maintain? Yes. How do I maintain it? And there are more videos that are coming on that subject. But for now, I've needed some time to integrate all of the changes and also to allow all of the purging that I have done emotionally and mentally to be released on the physical level as well, so that I'm not attracting disease, I'm not attracting illness, I'm not attracting discomfort in my physical reality. Now, I want to stick to the title, and I don't want to be too long on this, because what's important is to accept that for those of us who don't see the value of inner inquiry, maybe you've never been to a yoga class, or maybe you like to try and think things through all the time and find solutions in your head, none of this energy shifting is actually going to feel any better if you try and stay in your head, okay? It's very much about moving into the heart. That's how we ascend into the 5D consciousness, which we all need to do individually before we can do it collectively. But as we are doing it individually, we are connecting with others who are doing that work as well, whether they're conscious of it or not. And so we are clumping together and co-creating the new reality. And, you know, I've talked about third dimension, fourth dimension and fifth dimensional differences. And this is all part of my co-creation success course, which is running again in January. And I'll put some details up about that if you're interested. But basically, we need to understand that as multidimensional beings of love and light, which is what we are coexisting in different paradigms of reality at the same time. And the third dimension is the dimension of fear, it's the dimension of struggle, it's the dimension of victim consciousness. And if you're not in it right now, I bet you have people around you that you love dearly who are seriously stuck in that consciousness. And it's really heartbreaking because you know all you can do is hold compassion for them and actually pray for them to find their own inner resolve to say enough is enough. I deserve better than this. What else is there? Because the third dimensional matrix keeps us stuck in a loop, and we have actually co-created this, okay? When I say we, I don't mean the physical human that is here today, me as Rosanna or Rosie. I'm talking about the last 13,000 years of souls coming to this planet, experiencing things, forgetting who they are, forgetting why they came here in the first place, and getting stuck in the loop of illusion and this karmic soup, basically, of recreating trauma one lifetime after another. Now, we physically are finding evidence now through our scientific inquiry that we carry cellular trauma from one generation to the next. We carry that memory. So we can understand with our minds how this is being recreated now. We don't have to go too woo-woo with it. But the point is, it's time to shift it. Enough is enough. The timeline split that is occurring, and from what I've understood, and I've been listening to an amazing woman. What's her name? I wrote it down somewhere. Aluna Ash. Yeah, she's great. I'll put a link for her as well. But she's really talking some lovely truth, as is Magenta Pixie. Different frequencies, sometimes not so hard and not so easy to understand, which is why I'm putting it in my words for those of you who like to hear me chatting about this stuff. But basically, we are, in the next 2 years, really, well, 1 year, we are moving towards this timeline split where effectively those of us who are co-creating the new Earth paradigm, which is the fifth dimensional frequency of this planet, it is the original coding of this planet, which is supposed to be a paradise planet. We are going to be co-creating mini paradises all around the planet. This is how I'm seeing it. And at the same time will be the pockets of war and distortion and suffering that continue to exist, because as much as we go in and seek to try and save and support and move those souls out of it until they're ready to believe that something can be different, to believe in the possibility that something can be different. And this is harder than you imagine, because if all you've ever had is struggle and stress and suffering, and someone comes along and says, you know, it doesn't have to be like this, it's really easy to change this, you just have to think differently, or you just need to see through different eyes. Holding on to the belief that things can only be a certain way is what people will do for a long, long time, because otherwise how else do you justify all of the suffering that you've gone through? So, you know, I work a lot with fertility, okay, and I work a lot with people who seem to be stuck in negative spirals they can't get out of. And the thing that affects both in terms of positive outcomes and shifting out of being infertile or not being able to conceive to growing happy, healthy babies and birthing them, and moving out of toxic situations that until now you've never been able to break out of, or constant loops where you have a success and a failure, or it looks like you've grown through something and then the same old crap starts happening again. All of that, the main thing that makes the shift for everybody is to believe in the possibility that things can actually be different. To believe in the possibility. Even if you don't think you can shift your belief, just being open to the possibility. That's a major game changer. It's a bridge into the fourth dimension. So 3D is shit's happening all the time. Don't know why it's happening. I'm just reacting. 4D, some synchronicities start to occur. We start to have some idea of what's beyond our day-to-day life and the magical and the incomprehensible and what is a mystery in the world. And then 5D is when you are consciously co-creating, but you have to own all of your creations, which means taking ownership of all of the miscreations that have occurred through the previous generations. Now, this is what allows us to break free of this third dimensional matrix where you are constantly looping in that state of being overwhelmed and flat and ineffective into a state where you are consciously co-creating through synchronicity just about instantly. Okay, so this is the idea, this is what we're moving to, as we drop the density of 3D and we clear our emotional and mental body of all the pain that's there. We clear our etheric body of the imprints of this pain, and we also allow the physical detox to take place that needs to. That's how we timeline shift into 5D. And 5D basically means co-creating through love and joy. It means no longer seeing through the eyes of suffering and struggle, but actually seeing through eyes of love, and knowing how to stay in your center, and when you get out of your center, how to get yourself back. But please hold on. Anyone who's done work with me already or is on a path of self-growth, hold on, because if you feel like you are being overwhelmed and you are feeling flat and ineffective, there's some key things you can do, which I'm going to go through in a minute, that really will support you to stay on track and to get back to your center. The only thing I can say is I can't be the person over you that lovingly holds you accountable and reminds you what true discipline really means. And it's not beating yourself up with a stick. It's about being in a constant interested state of self-inquiry, in a state of wonder of how you can help yourself get more to where you want to. Anyway, before I go there, right, so the collective and the individuals are purging right now. This is why it feels like the energies have been really intense. Okay, I've needed to clear on a physical level a whole load of stuff I've been holding the last few months since I've been going through this huge shift, when my life has literally turned inside out and upside down, and everything I've been working towards is coming, cashing in. As I said on my 40th, I'm ready to cash in. I'm like, whoa, what do I do with this now? And I'm ready to build the next stream. But I've needed to just kind of go, whoa, I've been holding stuff I didn't know I was holding, and I just need to release that. And that's been my physical purging to get me to this state of excitement and clarity and delight that I feel I'm back in again now and ready to co-create the next stage, which is, for me, my dream is to be able to co-create in sacred union with my divine counterpart, ascension partner, and I now have a partner in my life that wants to do that with me. And so the adventure has begun, as you can see on this lovely painting behind me. It's actually a photo. So it's just amazing, but I'm still getting over the shock of it all, and it's just like, okay, here I am. Now, when we talk about achieving all of your dreams, I want to say here that what is so important, if you want to achieve all of your dreams, which you are more than capable of doing, the key with it is to understand that you are going to have to do some deep inner work. It doesn't have to be traumatic and horrible. It can actually be graceful and easy, and that's the path that I offer you through my work. But you are going to have to take leaps of faith, including the fact that you are going to need to invest in yourself and perhaps not know where the money is going to come from, all the time is going to come from, but you know you need to make a change, and you can no longer put up with the intensity of struggle and stress and awful things happening again and again. You are ready to put everything behind you making that shift. That is absolutely imperative, okay? Because when you do that, the universe conspires in your favor to support you to do that. And where you thought something was impossible, it becomes possible, right? And this is what I've done. I've had plenty of clients say they want to work with me, but they just haven't got the money to do the program, whether it's the coaching, the group program, or the one-to-one program work with me. And I'm like, look, you give me what you've got now. Right? Give me what you've got now and trust the rest will come, and you will find the ways to create the money, and I have absolute faith in you that you'll be able to do that. All you have to do is have faith in yourself. Oh, thanks, Hope. Love that. So beyond that, when you're talking about making that investment, making that commitment, the moment you say yes to yourself, things actually start to change. And it's then learning how to maintain a higher altitude. So many of us are used to sort of the yo-yo, whether you diet or whether you win money and you lose it, or whether you have a great new job and then you hate it. We're used to the yo-yoing. So what we're learning to do is to climb up in altitude and to enjoy cruising at a higher and higher frequency. Ironically, the only way to really be able to do that is to anchor really deeply into the ascending earth paradigm. So that means you've got to root down to go up. The more you root down, the more you go up. and that means earth chakra activation. So I can sit here on this video and tell you the what you need to do, but the how you need to do it is a deep inner process, and that deep inner work cannot be skipped. Once you've done it, then you need to maintain it and become aware of when you are starting to come off. Hello everybody, hello Ella, hello everybody who's joined me, it's lovely that you're here. So part of this being this, we are actually the second coming. Okay, so what's happening with this timeline split, and bear with me if I'm going a little bit on tangents, is those of us who are seeding the new earth paradigm have to do the clearing on all levels, and through having the commitment to do that, sublimation, love it, hello, we then co-create this new reality that we are able to invite others to join in. But they will not be able to join us until they decide they are done with suffering and they're willing to be open to the possibility that there is something better than where they're at. Now, our problem is we know it gets better, and we're so excited then about being able to pull people up, but you can't until they're ready. And what you have to be very careful of as you're witnessing the suffering all around you is not to go back into that suffering as a way of empathizing, because all you do is you weaken your position, you lower your vibration, and then you start miscreating again. So you end up believing the illusion, the distortion, which is what the last 13,000 years are about, and we have all contributed to, consciously or unconsciously. That time is done. It's time to clear all of the karma around it, which is what this purging is all about, so that we can move into this new paradigm. Now, to co-create all of your dreams, you have to let go of the attachment to who you're going to co-create them with and how you're going to co-create them, okay? This has been the biggest lesson for me in being able to make a shift and maintain it. I had to let go of a very deep love. I had to let go of someone that I honestly thought I was going to be doing it all with. And, you know, I don't know what the future holds, but I can tell you now that was incredibly hard to do. I was very, very attached. And actually, I even had guidance coming to me saying that that was what was going to happen, which is why, again, I got confused and distorted by how my reality was changing. I had to keep trusting my heart. Now, if it's in your world and you want to attract a relationship, or you want to attract money, or you want to attract vibrant health, believing it before you see it is absolutely essential. But also getting unstuck from how it's going to happen is also essential. You just have to know what you want to do, okay? And then the how becomes more possible. It becomes revealing to you over time. But also, in the terms of the how, if you're thinking about this in terms of fertility, I believe every parent that wants to, every person who wants to become a parent is going to become a parent. But how they become a parent may differ. Whether they actually conceive through their own egg, their own sperm, or donor egg, or whether they adopt, or whether they grow a baby, or they foster, it's individual, okay? But the thing that we all have in common, which is what I want to make very clear about why everything is affecting everyone right now, is we've all been born. We've all had time in the womb. We've all been conceived. We've all been incubated. We've all been born. And then we've all been entirely dependent on other human beings for our survival as we've been growing into independence. So we all have individual and collective wounds we need to clear. So however this is manifesting in your life as an issue right now, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, physically, whether it's that you are seeking to attract something into your life that you just can't at the moment, where it feels like you're spinning round and round, whether you're seeking to have a baby and you can't, the answer is the same. Time and again, the process that I work through is the same. Call it a 3-step process, call it a 6-step process. It involves being present with what is, seeing what your intention is, undoing your resistance to it, and then weaving in what is going to help you to connect to that frequency and then maintain it until you achieve the results that you want. And this is the thing, is we can all achieve what we want, but we have got to be committed to it. So, moving through life. Yeah, moving through life with synchronicity. I'm just checking that I've said everything I want to. Oh yeah, the Christ thing that I wanted to mention. So my left-hand woman is, well, she's a devout Christian, but a real rebel Christian as well. And we bring the sort of Christ consciousness and woo-woo together. So she's obviously got biblical Jesus consciousness and I have more Christ woo-woo consciousness, but we bring this together. And we are the second coming. We are the example of living from the heart, which is what Jesus Christ as a human being, you know, emulated, put out there and said, we are all the sons and daughters of God, and we are all the sons and daughters of Source. We all hold a divine spark within us. And that divine spark is what we awaken through awakening our superconscious and our I am presence, which is what we need, hello Cherie, to move into this higher frequency and to maintain the fifth dimensional shift. I have a meeting in a minute, so I'm just aware I've got to go quick. So if you know you're doing your work and or you want to start somewhere, put it that way, then the key things that are going to help you to move back into alignment if you have stepped out of alignment are going to be daily practices that don't take a lot of time. So my passion is to strip away all of the overwhelm and the confusion of how to get where you want to get, law of attraction. So this teacher says this teacher says this, and actually just to bring it back to bare bones of what I call divine architecture. And this is again what I teach people through my coaching programs and my membership programs. And so Earth chakra connection and activation is utterly important. It's vital every day. Calling in your I am presence, awakening that I am presence, your connection to the crystalline grid and your earth chakra, absolutely vital. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling flat, if you're feeling like you're not being effective, then check in with that. This is an absolute basic that you want to do. Also, plugging in daily, and that's not just grounding, it's actually connecting to source and down. Nailed it, declutter, I'm getting there, baby. Recognizing that if you're feeling tired or you're feeling sick, then this is a need to recalibrate and to start to listen to that. So this is listening to our pre-pain signals, which we'll get better and better at. And then the other thing, which is what Nadina's reminding me of now, is reducing sensory input. Often when we start awakening, we get incredibly hungry for information from all sorts of different sources, and we can end up incredibly overwhelmed. There is an abundance of information in the field. Some of it's 5D consciousness, some of it's 4D, some of it's 3D, some of it's well beyond all of that. The point is, get centered, get grounded, get aligned, get connected up, get plugged in. What do you most need to know today? And the answer ain't going to be outside of you. It's going to be in the universe of your heart. The infinite universe outside of there is actually in here. And it will reveal to you what you need to know. That's where it will come from. It will reveal to you what you need to know. So in my co-creation success course, I go over how our outer reality is a projection of our inner reality, and how you can, or our inner vibration, and how you can actually read the signs better so you're not getting confused by the signals that are being put out there. And this is the difference between 5D, 4D and 3D constructs, and being able to decipher the language. And this is what really took me some time recently, to be able to decipher the difference in information I was receiving and how to process that information. Where else are we? What are you feeding yourself? So what are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding your heart? And what are you feeding your body? Again, the discipline here isn't to be austere. It is just to become aware of whether you are really nurturing and nourishing yourself or not. And to open to inquiry of what really nurturing and nourishing yourself in this moment, through your thoughts, through your feelings, through what you're consuming physically, would actually look like. And that means bringing more consciousness to what you do and why you're doing it, okay? Then dealing with resistance, well, resist dance. I like to call it a dance because it's just inner fear, it's just inner stubbornness, too scared to let go of the suffering that we're used to, for fear that the next thing that will come along will be worse than what we're actually used to. So it's better the devil you know is that kind of construct. Again, it's bullshit, okay? It's, sorry about the swearing, but it is just stuff we've been fed, beliefs we've been fed that keep us stuck. So, yes, basically, in terms of dealing with resistance, it's entertaining the possibility that things can be different and being accountable and disciplined, as I said earlier. So I think I've more or less covered what I wanted to here. So remember the hook-ins that are important. I've gone through the things you need to do to bring you back to your centre. And often it is the connecting to nature, reconnecting to your I am statements, and just reviewing them and seeing if at the moment what you set in intention, maybe 3 months ago, maybe 6, maybe last full moon, new moon even, is what you want to be intending now. Because we review what we want, we get what we want, and then we need to review it and see where it takes us from there. So hopefully you have really enjoyed this. I wanted to let you know that I'm intending to do my next multidimensional Rosy Glow yoga video tomorrow, to film it tomorrow, so it should be up on my YouTube channel on Sunday. We also have a new moon meditation next Friday, I believe, so if you sign up to the YouTube channel and you sign up to the Rosy Glow Facebook page, you will get replays sent out, and you will be able to join me live if you want to. And also, if you are interested in my group or one-to-one coaching, remember this is it's the fibre optic of being able to move out of 3D and 4D consciousness into 5D and anchoring it. And I do a lot now to support my tribe to maintain those high frequencies and deal with the deeper resistance that comes up. But tribe, if you're part of my tribe, remember you've got to keep working those tools, and just be cautious about bringing in lots of other tools. Like, work with what you've got. If you then feel a need for something else, bring it in one at a time, but just take your time. At the moment, I'm basically not taking sensory information in from anywhere other than from source, because there's so much information out there, it gets very confusing. Occasionally I'm drawn to something and I'll connect with it, but we want to simplify. We want to intend to be efficient and effective and simple, and in doing that you'll come into alignment with it and meet the resistance within you to it. Okay, so yeah, if you would like to know more about the coaching, then please get in touch. We'll put a link to something called Register Your Interest, which you then get to fill out a very quick survey. It's 10 questions, whether you're seeking to conceive with ease, or so that you're seeking to have a baby, or whether you're seeking to make a big change in your life. And that can be financial, that can be in your emotions, in your relationships, it can be in your home environment, your work environment, your health. Whatever you want is achievable, but you've got to stop believing and buying the story that things cannot be different to how they currently are, because whilst you keep feeding on that story, nothing can change. Even if it tried, you wouldn't let it. Okay, so register your interest, book a breakthrough call with me. Yes, it will cost you £100, but you know what? The moment you make that payment, you will have a shift. I promise you that. And also, if you find that you are feeling the heart call to do the deeper work with me, the cost of that call will go towards your group or one-to-one coaching. So I'm investing in you when you invest in yourself, because I believe in you and I know you can do this. The call itself will give you something very profound to work with and get you started, which is what we want to do. And you know what? If you ain't got £100, get on my website, download, put your details in so that you can get the Prosperity Challenge sent to you, and set the intention to create the wealth that you need to do this deeper work. If you do it, you will do it. That's it. Lots of love. Take care for now. Namaste.